good afternoon, hello and welcome along to Matchday Live here on Fox's Hub with me, Dan Bates, Steve Howard and Jerry Taggart. Join me today as we build up to this game with Brentford, and it's been an eventful week, I think it's fair to say. Ben Dawson will take charge of the Foxes today as first team coach, ahead of the preparation and arrival, of course, of Ruud van Nistelrooy, who's been announced as the club's new manager, following Steve Cooper and the club parting ways earlier this week, or on Sunday, in fact, following that Chelsea defeat. Let's take a first look then at today's team news, because 4 changes have been made and a change in shape has been made for this game against Brentford. It's Mads Hermansen in goal, Fass, Cody and Akoli at the back three, with Thomas and Justin the 2 wing backs. Ndidi and Samare are in midfield, with Ayew and Buenanotte. He, of course, was suspended against Chelsea, so returns comes in supporting Jamie Vardy. On the bench, it's Ward, Mavididi, Elkanou, Stekod over Reed, Christensen, Chowdhury, Daka, Skip and Yannick Vestergaard. Just the one change for today's hosts, Brentford. They've got Flecken in goal, Lewis Potter, Pinnock, Collins and Vandenberg across the back 4. Norgard, Damsgaard and Jensen at the midfield 3, with Schade and Mbuemo supporting Johan Wissa up top for the side that are at top of the home table. So they haven't lost at home yet, 5 wins and 1 draw. So tough task for Ben Dawson and his Leicester side today. Before we hear from Ruud van Nistelrooy, of course, let's introduce today's guests. Last time you were here with us, Steve, was the win against Bournemouth. So I've got to hope you keep up that 100% record. And it's great to have you back again today.
Thank you very much for the invite. So obviously exciting times now at Leicester with a new manager coming in, but it's going to be a tough game today. So we'll see how we go.
Mm-hmm. And as ever, welcome along, Jerry. Good to see you as usual.
Yeah, again, pleasure to be here. Great to see Steve again. We've just been having a chinwag right in the northeast and various places that you can visit on a little weekend away. So yeah, but obviously
some nice cafes and
but obviously coffee. Big game today, and a big set of games coming up with Ruud van Nistelrooy being announced as the manager, Ben Dawson taking over today. Difficult position to be in. Yeah. His future's up in the air. He's been put in charge of this game today, knowing that the manager's going to be sitting in the crowd watching. So I think for him, it's all about understanding the side you're up against today and trying to plug some gaps, plug some holes, and see how you get on throughout the game.
Just before we look and obviously talk about the obvious, just a quick question each on today's team. We'll circle back to it a little bit later on in Matchday Live, but for now, a change in system, a back 5, it looks like, back 3, however you want to look at it. What do you think to that?
Well, I don't know, obviously he's made a few changes. He's obviously come in, and like we were chatting before, I think it's a bit of a free hit from really. Nobody's expecting him to come in. He doesn't know whether he's going to have a job on Monday. So why not take this team and set the team out that he wants to play? And I think that's going to, looking at that team, I think he's gone for experience and quite a solid team. So we'll just wait and see if what style of play he's going to play and what instructions he's give the lads.
Yeah, I think bringing Conor Cody in, experience, he's a voice, he knows how to organise his back line, and obviously the players in front. Hasn't had a lot of minutes in the league at all. I think he's mainly played in the cup games this season, hasn't he, Conor? So that's a big call from Ben, but obviously he has that experience that Steve talks about. Luke Thomas, another one. Don't think he started a league game this season, or I'm not sure if he's even featured in any of the league games, but I know again played in a couple of cup games. So a big afternoon for him. And so, as I say, when you look at that team, it's more of, right, what can we get out of this? You're going to Brentford, who are at home, the best team, or have the best record in the league as far as their home record is concerned. So it's all about starting the game nice and solid and see if you can work your way into the game. It's a difficult situation for him to be in. It's a one game, I'm not going to call it a career, but at the minute it's a one game managerial, punch out for him. And so he's just got to do and try and do the best he can in this one game, and hopefully, whatever happens after this, benefits his career.
Hopefully so. Yes, big afternoon for Ben Dawson, for the Leicester City players, of course. Big afternoon as ever for us here on Matchday Live as we build up to kick-off at the G-Tech Community Stadium. We're, of course, going to talk about Ruud van Nistelrooy and hear his first words as Leicester City manager. He's got a good record against the Foxes, be that as interim manager, of course, with Manchester United, and as a player as well, including scoring a hat-trick against the Foxes. And we'll also potentially take a closer look at Brentford a little bit later on. As we said, they score a lot of early goals and they've got a fantastic home record. But for now, we're going to concentrate on the big news this week that broke last night, in fact. Let's hear from Ruud van Nistelrooy, the new manager of Leicester City Football Club.
I know what it's like to play and what it's like to be always in the limelight, so I can't wait to get on the pitch and start with them. Play forward and create chances, of course, is the main goal. Yeah, as a former striker, I can't wait to work together with him as well. We'll approach every game with one idea, and that's to win.
Well, Ruud, thank you very much for inviting us into your home, and also welcome to Leicester City, of course, as manager. How do you feel to be sat as manager of a Premier League team?
Yeah, I'm proud, I'm excited. I think it's everybody that I speak to about Leicester City Football Club is enthusiastic, has great stories about the quality of the people working in the club, the supporters. Also, of course, the recent history of the club is impressive. So, you know, I'm that excited to start and to get to know everyone and give everything I can for the football club.
You can see how excited you are. I imagine when you heard of the interest, straight away you were thinking, that's where I want to be. That sounds exciting to me.
It did, straight away. And of course, when you're in football a long time, you know so many people. And that's what I said, the stories about the club and its people and the supporters, that's always positive. And it's a stable club. You see within the leadership structures that it's all, you know, good and organized and with an idea. So also the squad, of course, is exciting, you know, with the young emerging talents there, also experienced players, a good mixture. So I can't wait to get on the pitch and start with them.
Because coaching for you clearly was so important immediately, wasn't it? Pretty much as soon as you retired, you were straight in at PSV, at the youth levels, involved in that. So has this always been an ambition of yours, to be a manager, to be a successful manager?
If I'm honest, you know, whilst I was playing, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking to perform and to do the best I could, and I wasn't thinking that I would become a manager. After my playing days, I thought, okay, what now? And I got involved with coaching and managing, and I started to like it. So you go for your badges, you start at the U team setup, the under-17s, the under-19s. Young PSV, they play in the Dutch Championship. I managed them for a season, and after that the first team. So that was a spell of 10 years in PSV. You know, proud years. You know, be able to play and manage for the club, and able to win trophies as a player and a manager. So it was something special. It's half an hour from here, so it's my local team as well. So yeah, special moments.
That was Ruud van Nistelrooy there speaking as the manager of this football club, and he speaks almost as well as what he was like as a player. So if he's even half as good a manager as he was as a player, Steve, then Leicester have got a really exciting appointment on their hands.
Oh, he's an awesome player. You know, the goals he scored, the achievements he did in his career was just second to none. It was a fantastic career he's had. As a manager-wise, coming over, a bit unknown, which I think is a bit of a gamble for Leicester, but a very exciting appointment. I think it'll get the fans going. I think, you know, his reputation will, you know, get the best out of the lads. I think they'll respond to that. But obviously, you know, come from PSV over there, you know, he's had a lot of success over there, and then obviously interim manager at Man United, which is he's done well. So hopefully he can, you know, transfer that to Leicester and get them going.
Yeah, I think obviously, you know, having played in this country and having been assistant manager to Ten Hag and then interim manager, he'll he'll know a lot about the English game. But obviously, as far as his managerial career is concerned, it's been pretty limited, to say the least. And so to come in after being a manager for a year and then 4 games at Man U, you know, you've got to say he's not that well experienced or well travelled in the managerial game, but you know, his actual knowledge of English football will be pretty high up there. And he you know, he comes with a reputation, he comes with a presence. I played against him, and he was a phenomenal striker. You know, believe you me. So he'll have that presence and hopefully that respect that, you know, you need to gain from the players.
You were at both of those games, the shots that we're seeing now, where he was interim manager.
Yeah.
That you saw the reaction he got from Old Trafford both times there. And did you learn anything from the way they played?
I did. Compared to the way Ten Hag plays, absolutely. It was, and he said it in that interview with you there, Dan, about playing forward more often, creating more chances. And you could see the 2 games against Leicester, the Man U players were playing with a bit more freedom, you know, as if, you know, the shackles have been, you know, been taken off a bit or loosened slightly from under Eric Ten Hag. So that was the kind of vibe I was getting from watching those 2 games and being there.
I think of the reports I've read about the PSV, they were a very attacking side, which is obviously, you know, the type of player he was, you know, got the ball and scored goals. So I think that's the, you know, if you can bring that to Leicester and have an attacking side and stamp a sort of authority or a, you know, the way, because I think in the past Leicester haven't had an identity of the way they want to play. So I think hopefully Ruud will come in and say, you know what, that's the way we're going to play. You know, a bit like Maresca did. That's the way we're going to play, and you know, firm up the defence and then make an attack. And I think that personally, it's going to be really exciting football.
I think the biggest problem Ruud has got now is that he's going to be sitting in the stand today, obviously watching and seeing how the team get on. They're starting with a system that he wouldn't necessarily want to start with when he comes in. So he's got very little time between today, Tuesday night, and Sunday. 2 massive midweek games, a midweek game against West Ham at home, Brighton at home on Sunday. So 2 big games for his first 2 games in charge, and he hasn't got that much time. And to put things down on paper, get it out onto the pitch the way he exactly wants it. So that's going to be his main issue, you know, as he's coming in. Yeah,
we'll hear from Ruud van Nistelrooy a few more times throughout the show here on Matchday Live. One of the questions that I asked him when we were over in Eindhoven was the success that he had with Eindhoven. He won 2 trophies in just the 1 season he had there. Both of those games in the finals were against rivals Ajax as well. So I asked how much drive that will give him to succeed here.
Yeah, you want more, and I think what's important is the connection with the players. And also I know what it's like to play and what it's like to be always in the limelight and the pressure and to be able to perform every game, and also what it takes to prepare yourself to be the best version of yourself possible. And that's what I want to start to work with the individual first, the person, the player, and then work within the team to get the best out of a football player. And that's my drive. And I love it. And when I can make a connection with a player, make him a better player, with the staff obviously and everybody that's involved, that's the most special thing that you can reach, I think, with in your job as a manager.
It sounds, Steve, like he knows that he's a good man manager, and that. How important is that in being a manager as a player? Obviously yourself, you presumably had managers that were good at that and that weren't so good at that. How much of a difference does that make?
I think it's huge. I think it's the most important point, because he's coming into a side where you've still got your Maresca players. Me and Jerry were talking before. You've still got your Maresca players. You'll have your Cooper players, and then he'll want his players. So it's going to be one of those things where, I mean, we've been in dressing rooms before where you've had mixes of that, and managers come in, and the point you make there, Dan, man management, it's all about the man management to get the best out of the players. They might be your players, they might not be your players, but you got to get the best out of them. And I think with his reputation, I think it'll go a long way to getting out the players.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's obviously some players in the dressing room that will be disillusioned with what has just gone on. So it's down now to Ruud van Nistelrooy to bring the dressing room back together if that is the case. And so gone are the days when a manager picked a team, he did the team talk to the whole room, and you went out and did your job. Now you're talking about picking individual players, having one-on-ones with them, trying to see what makes them tick. It's a big part of the modern way of playing football, is knowing how an individual ticks, how you as a manager can get the best, what's the best position for that individual player, and how you as a manager can then guarantee that player that when he does start and try and get the best out of him on the pitch.
I think I saw that in my career from the first start, where, like you said there, Jerry, the managers used to come in just to shout at all years.
Yeah.
You know, just it was a collective thing. And throughout the time of towards the back end of my career, you could see managers coming in going, right, can I have a word with you? Can I have a word with you? You know, one-on-one type of things. And that was a massive part of the management evolving in the modern day manager.
What it does, it means everybody's inclusive in the conversation, whether it's as a collective in the dressing room or if the manager takes you out one by one into your office. All the players care, they all want to play football. And so they need to have that voice, and the way they get their voice is by the manager taking them away, having a chat and saying, right, tell me your story. Yeah. Tell me what's wrong. Tell me what you want to achieve out of the game. But again, he's got to learn that very, very quickly. Because there will be some players that don't want to be here. Well, unfortunately, but you like to think it's not too many. And then you're going to have a lot of players that want to play on a Saturday. And obviously some of them are going to be disappointed. How does he keep them on side?
How much of a factor is it that he is Ruud van Nistelrooy, and we all, presumably all the players in that dressing room will have grown up watching him and seeing quite how incredible a player he was. You've already mentioned that. He will command that respect, command a presence in the dressing room.
I think he's got an aura about him. You know, it's Ruud van Nistelrooy. You know, like you said there, we've all watched him play. The lads will watch him play. They know his reputation. I think, and with that comes a bit of authority to say, you know what, I'll do my best for him, because obviously he's a bit of an icon. So I think when it happened with me with Sven, to be honest, when Sven came in for us, I walked in, I was like, oh my God, Sven Goran Eriksson. And you know, before he even spoke to him. So he had that aura about him, but obviously, and Ruud's exactly the same.
Yeah, and you look at the manager list that he had as a player.
Yeah.
The first one, obviously, that springs to mind is Sir Alex Ferguson. You look at Real Madrid there, the likes of Fabio Capello, Juan de Ramos, Manuel Pellegrini. He's played under some of the best, so you must presumably learn from the managers.
If you're going to go into coaching or management, you'd be a fool not to learn from the managers and the coaches that you played under. And went, oh, I like that, or I don't like that, and you take that. If you make that decision to go into coaching, then you take all the best bits with you, and you try and find a way of working all them best bits into your coaching, into your management style. Obviously, you learn stuff along the way, and he's done that because he's been a manager for a while, but he's been an assistant manager and he's been a coach. So yeah, but I mean, he's one of those players that was never in the headlines for the wrong reasons as well.
Yeah.
Which I think, you know, I'm not saying, you know, back in the day, let's call it, you know, there was a few bits and bobs, players in the papers for the wrong reason. He wasn't one of them. Yeah. So his reputation his stock levels will be right up here.
It's very clear.
Let's hear from him then, speaking about the current squad and what he's got to deal with when he takes his first training session at Seagrave early this week.
I think the depth of the squad is very good as well. So you have 2 players in every position of good quality, and obviously the captain Jamie Vardy as the most experienced and as a former striker. I can't wait to work together with him as well.
In terms of this current group, you have experience of managing against them. 2 times on the winning side for yourself, 2 times on the losing side for Leicester, of course, during your interim spell at Manchester United. I guess even then you saw ideas and principles, and you've taken bits from those games already, and their ideas you want to take forward.
Of course, that was the thing, that of course preparing those 2 games against Leicester, where you get to study the opponent and the qualities of it, and also where you can hurt them as Manchester United then And of course that gave a broader picture of the squad and the team and the behaviors of the players.
Again, you learned something of watching that. He presumably then, as he said himself, will have learnt a lot from the Leicester group, having beaten them twice, and in that will have done a lot of watching of Leicester as well.
Absolutely, you know, before he's come in or before he got a sniff or a whiff of a job, he'll have been going over every video he possibly could of Leicester playing this season in particular, and trying to, you know, sort out where the weak spots are and where they can possibly get better, and you have to do that because, as I said, that this next week for Ruud is massive. You know, he's coming into a new job. The pressure's already on him. He's sitting in the stand. The pressure's already on him, and then I wouldn't be surprised if he had the players in tomorrow, walking through a few bits. Yeah. Again, there's not too much
especially
you can
with
do.
The game Tuesday.
That's what I'm saying. There's not too much you can do on the training pitch because the guys will be, you know, in recovery mode for most of that 48 hours, however long it is, but between the end of this game and the game on Tuesday night. But he will want to get the messages across as quickly as possible. So he needs to do his due diligence on the players, the squad, and the games that have gone, and obviously two of them being against Man U when he was in charge.
I mean, it's good actually for Ruud that he's had them 2 games against Leicester.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you know, being interim manager of Man United, he'd obviously want to do really well and, you know, be a success at Man United. So he's obviously gone in depth with the Leicester squad, so he'll know the weaknesses, he knows where he needs to strengthen, he knows everything. So he's already got like a leg up, really, you know, because he's studied that team twice.
Yeah, it actually worked out quite well for Leicester, but it was those 2 games, wasn't it, against them back to back? And how much of an impact will it have on the players today, knowing he will be at the game and watching? Is that nervous? Is that nerves, excitement? How would you approach it?
I mean, that's a tough question to answer. Because obviously you've got a different character completely running the dressing room today as far as Leicester and Ben Dawson. So his you know, what he's asking the players to do today could be completely different. Whether or not Ben Dawson mentions the fact that the new managers, whether he goes, well, you know, put on a performance for your new manager, it's hard to know what is going to be said in the dressing room. It's hard to know how the players are going to react. You'd like to think that they react in a positive way, knowing that even though Dawson is in charge in the dressing room now, that come tomorrow or come 5:30, Ruud, you'd expect, will be straight into the dressing room after the game and having his first chat with the players.
I mean, him coming in, all the players will look at that and think, right, that's our manager. But I'm trying to go back to times when we've had caretaker managers, and you know, I've been in squads where that, and the managers always come in, the caretaker managers always come in and said, right, this is the way we're playing today. Yeah. And as a player, you just say, right, that's the way we're playing today, and then you think about it after the game and think, right, well, Ruud's coming in, so it's going to totally change. But I think, you know, for the lads that are playing, especially with Ruud sitting in the stand, they'll want to put on a show to say, this, you know, this is who I am.
Pick me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, every single game in the Premier League matters as well, Jerry, doesn't it? There are points to be picked up in every game. So if they can, let's say, hypothetically, get a victory today, then they can just roll into Tuesday, can't they, under the new manager? 3 extra points on the board. Yeah,
but without a doubt, winning is the be-all and end-all. It's as simple as that. And, you know, that completes your mood for the weekend. So, yes, it'll make Ruud's job that little bit easier if they can get a result today. But I don't think it makes any difference in the short to medium term. He's got a lot of work to do in a short space of time, and that's where he's got to focus his attentions between now and, well, the rest of this week.
Because you've got as well, you got the festive period coming up as well with games. So, you know, he's got a short space of time, especially with like the Tuesday game and Saturday. So he's not going to spend that much time on the training pitch. So hopefully he can just tweak it here and there, and you know, they can get a win today, start off with a win today.
Speaking of the players, Jamie Vardy, ironically, it was the anniversary this week of him breaking Ruud van Nistelrooy's record of 11 of scoring in 11 straight Premier League games. There's a fantastic interaction of the two of them that Ruud congratulated him when he did it. Obviously in 2015, Vardy said thank you very much, it means a lot. And you see Vardy obviously warming up today now. at Brentford. Again, just we're talking about that respect again and that aura, like you say, that Ruud van Nistelrooy commands, and he'll get that immediately from Jamie Vardy.
Of course he will. I mean, even when he broke his record, I mean, I'm pretty sure Vards would have been saying, "Oh my God, I've just broke Ruud van Nistelrooy's record." Fantastic. And then obviously he meets him, and then, a few years later he's manager. So there's that respect and aura there already.
Yeah, I think they'll be having a few chats. He's picked him out, the captain, the most experienced player, obviously a fantastic goal scorer, breaking his record. They'll be having a few chats over the coming days and weeks.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting as well to see, because Ruud van Nistelrooy, obviously, towards the back end of his career, he was never electric, was he, like Jamie Vardy has been, but he'll be able to even give him some tips at the age that Jamie Vardy is now, just about how to manipulate defenders. Not that Vards needs it particularly. Not
at all, but as a striker, one of the best strikers ever played the game, you cannot help but, I mean, Vards will be excited by that. The young lads will be excited by that, and Vards will be excited by that. So it's going to be great for the forwards, definitely.
I think his first job will be getting Jamie Vardy involved more in the games than we've seen.
He's still got a massive say in the dressing room, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
Obviously, he's captain, but he's the character he is. He's got a lot to say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he's. We've just seen a picture of Connor Coney, who's another one who's very, very experienced, has a lot to say. But obviously, Jamie being the captain, and he'll want to be involved more in games. We haven't seen enough of Vardy. We've seen bits of him earlier on when he scored a few goals, but in the last few games, we ain't really seen. And he's still got it. He's still got that pace. His game no high, is better now than it's ever been. And yet he's not being used. So I think, again, listen to what Ruud says in his interview with you, Dan. He will be itching to get Jamie Vardy involved even more than what in the games and what he already is.
Yeah, let's look at the facts. Leicester find themselves just 1 point above the relegation zone, of course, at the bottom of the Premier League. So I asked Ruud van Nistelrooy about that and about the challenge he knows he's got to face, and he's well up for the fight.
It does, and I have to say that a lot of principles and structures that I see in on the ball and off the ball are structures that I used myself a lot as a PSV manager and at United. Not all, of course, but many of them. And the way Leicester City played under Maresca, winning the championship, going into the Premier League, I see also that line continuing in those structures and an idea of play. And I can plug into that because I relate to those structures and way of play. Play forward and create chances, of course, is the main goal, and translate it into points. And sometimes we'll be against an opponent that is better, but we have to find a way to win any game. And sometimes you need to be more defensive and play on the counter-attack. And of course, when you have it, you play. And others you will try to dominate, and you have to make the game yourself. So we'll approach every game with one idea, and that's to win.
Right, well, that'll be the last time we'll hear from you. We'll move on to the game in just a moment. But you've got a smile, Jerry, on your face, and it's good to hear that from him, isn't it? And you actually get a little idea of what he might do, style of play-wise, and what he aims to do once he gets in charge.
Yeah, and also what he's hinting at is he's being realistic about where Leicester are in the league and how the best way for them to perform to try and get further up the league come the end of the season. So there's a bit of a realism there from what he's saying, and you listen about the ideas. So he knows all about Maresca and the way he played last season, and he wants to take those ideas. But again, when you hear him say we're coming up against better teams, we're going to have to play on the counter-attack, which that is the realism of playing against better teams in this league. You can't just go, right, we're playing against Liverpool today, we're just going to go out and play our own game. We're going to beat them by doing that. So he's bringing that realistic point of view, as well as obviously wanting to be more forward-thinking, attack-minded.
I think that's. I hope he comes in and what they just saying there. I think he will come in, put your stamp on it, and say this is the way we're going to play. And if all the players buy into it, that's when you get your success. I mean, the changing rooms you've been in, where all the lads are buying into the way the manager plays, that's where you get your most success. So hopefully Ruud coming and saying, this is the way we're playing, everybody buy into it, and away we go.
Yeah, hopefully so. Right, it won't be the last time we speak about Ruud van Nistelrooy, I'm sure, here on Matchday Live in the coming months. But let's make it the last time for today. We'll just go back to one clip of him as a player, though, against Leicester City, where he scored a hat-trick here. Just heard a bit of a grumble from that side of the sofa there. Jerry might know what's coming here. You were involved in this game, Jerry, and you see the quality of Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, well, it was more the lack of quality, wasn't it? Paul Scholes there for a change. A lot sharp, but that's what he was all about. I mean, you look at his position in between the two defenders there. He was an absolute nightmare to try
between
and
you, yeah? Was it you?
I think
Was that you on the floor?
that was me on the floor, yeah. It was, yeah. I got dragged at half-time in that game.
Did you?
Yeah. But Frank, look at Frank falling over there. What's he doing, Frank? But yeah, you see his movement in between the two centre halves there. He was a nightmare for it. I'm not saying he was impossible to pick up.
That's just an unbelievable touch, isn't it?
Yeah, he was lethal.
Well, I don't think you were quite dragged at half-time, Jerry, because we haven't seen the third goal yet. And if you thought your pain and torture was over, we've just got to look through one more little 30-second video. Ruud van Nistelrooy getting his hat-trick goal against Jerry Taggart.
Under challenge from Gary Neville. Fired forward by Fletcher. There's a ball juggling by Taggart, but then it's through to Van Nistelrooy from Djemba. The hat-trick is well and truly on here, and Ruud van Nistelrooy has scored 3 goals in a game away from home for Manchester United. And a player who's spent the past few days keeping his head down, not reading some of the newspaper comments. He's come here to get on with his job, and this is a job he does splendidly.
That was it, Ruud van Nistelrooy with his hat-trick goal. Yeah, just said, bit of ball juggling.
But I think Frank should have covered me better there, in all honesty. I mean, it was a great couple of touches from me to begin under pressure from Ruud, and I just kept my cool. And I don't know what Frank was doing after that.
Yeah, we'll just see it one more time there.
I'm under pressure, look at that.
Brilliant.
Oh, superb. Now, so who's a midfielder? And then Frank's got to get across, but yeah, listen, it's a good finish. And again, he takes up a position where, he knows if the ball's coming to him, he's in the clear.
Well, we had to do that, Jerry. We very rarely stitch you up like that, but we thought...
It's not a stitch up, that's just a fact of life, Dan. And it just goes to show that, none of us are, perfect when it comes to defending. But yeah, good finish.
Yeah, great finish. Good finish. And a very good player indeed. Ruud van Nistelrooy, the new Leicester City manager. In a moment, we'll speak to Matt Elliott, who's down on co-commentary at Brentford. I'm sure he'd like to say a thing or two about that, Jerry. Good job. He won't have been able to see it. But
you always take the hand out of Matty anyway by showing that Bergkamp goal. Yeah, that's 10 times worse than that.
Yeah, I agree with that too, Chef. Right, a quick word, obviously, then. Let's concentrate on the game today, Steve. We've been talking about the mentality and how the players will be approaching it, and the fact, as we've underlined, it is a game of Premier League football. There are Premier League points to pick up.
Oh, absolutely. It's I think we say this every week, but it's a huge game, and to go to somewhere like Brentford, I think you were telling us, Dan, that the top of the home fixture. Yeah. So it's not an easy place. It was never an easy place to go. I never had a easy time there. So it's going to be tough. Obviously, with speculation with the managers, with the players preparing for this game. Obviously, the coach taking the first team. It's going to be hard for Leicester today, but they've just got to show the manager understand what they're made of, and hopefully they can get the win.
Let's cross over then to London, where we've got Matt Elliott in position for co-commentary. Matt, you'll have been driving down, probably excited to see the start of a new era, if you like. Obviously, Ruud will be in the stands, but the Leicester fans, I imagine, will be in quite buoyant moods, maybe, if you judge social media by anything. They seem to be happy with the appointment. Good afternoon to you, of course.
Afternoon, Batesy, Gerald, Steve, how are you? I was driving down with a big smile on my face at the prospect of, if not viewing, but discussing the highlights that we just played there of that certain Mr. Van Nistelrooy hat-trick. Gerald, you talk a good game, son. I spotted it yesterday and I was like, I can't wait for that to be featured. and you're still trying to blag your way out of it and blame it on Frankie. Good job Frankie wasn't on like it was last week as well. It's been double trouble, wasn't it? But very enjoyable, Batesy. I like that one. Good timing as well with me coming on straight afterwards. Leicester City fans, yeah, there's not too many of them actually in the stadium at the moment. What are we now? Just gone half past, haven't we? So 27 minutes or so to go to kick off. Limited allowance, isn't it? I was led to believe it's 1,700 here because of the small, in Premier League terms, capacity here at this stadium. So a little bit of a dampener on that side of things. But yeah, the supporters that are here I think they'll be really enthused. Yeah, as you boys have spoken about already, they'll be really enthused by the prospect of someone with the profile and a reputation, more as a player than a manager, but his managerial credits are not too shabby in a short space of time, with Ruud van Nistelrooy and everything that comes with him. I think there's a sort of, not breath of fresh air, but it's sort of change of the guard type thing. And as you lads have mentioned, positivity is like sort of the key word, isn't it, in terms of mentality and also how they approach the game itself, in a tactical sense. And hopefully we'll see some evidence of that this afternoon.
Matt, Jerry here.
Mate.
Thanks for those kind words.
Mate, I did have I've been chuckling.
Still not as embarrassing as
it is, mate. It happened 3 times. No. Frankie got you out of trouble a little bit by being even more calamitous.
Oh yeah, thank you for that. I told you that Frank was positionally all wrong there. But anyway, what do you think about the way they've approached the game today, Matt, in regards to the 3 centre halves, the back 5, whatever you want to call it, and the changes in midfield?
Yeah, well, have we had it verified? Because we haven't here. I've been asking around about the back 3, stroke 5. That looks pretty clear cut, doesn't it? Yeah. But in terms of midfield, there's a bit of debate as to whether Leicester are going to put Ndidi and Samari there, just as a 2, and then Ayew and Buonanotte either side of Vardy, in support, but helping out in midfield, but also be able to go wide. So like a 3-4-3 as such.
That's how we see it.
Yeah. I keep changing my mind because I know that makes sense in that respect, but I'm looking at it thinking, will Leicester risk being outnumbered in midfield a little bit? Because
and you'd see Buonanotte dropping in and
possibly being at the head of 3 in midfield. Yeah, he can draw. I don't know, but then I'm thinking, and 2 up top with Ayew and Vardy, or even one behind Vardy. I don't know. It'll probably be a permutations of all those 3 options throughout the game, because teams are quite fluid, aren't they, in terms of how they set up. But I don't know. Leicester won't want to be overrun in midfield. Brentford are a very energetic team, aren't they? And all hands to the pump type thing. I can understand the reasoning for the back 3. Don't want it to turn into a 5 too easily and too often, which I think there's a little bit of concern that it might do on occasion. But Leicester can sort of ill afford to have spare players and let other areas, they become stretched on the pitch elsewhere. But I suppose you sort of weigh up the odds. So I don't know in midfield. I'd be concerned if it was just Samari and Ndidi and 3 Brentford midfielders buzzing around, and I'm not sure whether Samari's got the sort of defensive nous to maybe cope with that. But we'll see. Because I think it's going to be, as I got told off or questioned upon the other week, it could be 6 and 2 threes a little bit maybe, or I don't know. But in terms of which way Leicester go about it, they're solid defensively, but do they want 2 up top? Like you say, Vardy gets isolated at times. Do you want some support? But somewhere in between, they've got to deal with things. But I don't know. Adds to the intrigue of the game and the whole new regime coming in. How much influence Van Nistelrooy is actually going to have from the stands today in terms of input on the selection. I'd be interested to find all those things out.
And obviously, finally from me, Matt, away day food.
Yeah,
a place I've never visited, the Brentford Stadium, so
Right, I'll be honest with you. I'm not in a rush to come back in terms of location. It's all a little bit, what's the word, soulless, if I'm honest. But there's so many apartments all in and around the stadium. The stadium's just like plonked in the middle of. It's always like a wannabe Manhattan, but it's nowhere near. It's nowhere near, mate. Trust me. But the food, the hospitality very welcoming. The food was bang on the money, I've got to say. It was like a sweet chicken curry and like little Mexican chipolata potatoes, wasn't it? Yeah, patatas or whatever. Then nice bit of couscous. I like a bit of couscous. And then some lovely salad, right? But the best part of the day was you get your food voucher, don't you, in your accreditation. Slotted it in the back, pulls it out. There you go, young lady. And I sort of growled in her ear. I said, "I'm starving, by the way. I'm hungry." So I said, "You get the message." So she's all right. So she's filled me up anyway. But then she got the food one side, puts the voucher in the second, behind her in this little tray, and then I just nip behind her and pick my voucher back up and put it back in my pocket. I've still got it here in case I need it.
Double servants.
There we go. All right, thank you very much, Matt. We'll hear from you on commentary duty this afternoon. We're just under 20 minutes away from kickoff. Right, let's go to a talking point about what Matt raised. I mean, it's not going to be about a sweet curry, I'm afraid. It's about the formation and how he maybe sees it differently to how we have it down. I don't know. Well, potentially, I understand what he's saying about and actually you could see Buonanotte dropping in as a 3 and Ayew and Vardy being a 2. Mm-hmm. You could quite easily also see it like that. I don't know which way you see it.
I mean, it's easily, as Matt said, it's easily interchangeable as the game goes on. If it does start like that, or he wants to go with a 2 up front and drop Buonanotte back in. I think you've got to understand, again, we haven't spoken about Brentford at home especially. I can see 10 goals in the league they've scored at home this season so far. And obviously, Mbeumo is the main man. I think he's got 7 in 6 games at home. And then you've got Wissa helping him out.
Sharda as well.
Sharda, that's it. So, I mean, and he said they're a very busy, very fit team. They get the ball forward very, very quickly. They get the ball in the wide areas quickly, and they get crosses into the box very, very quickly. And obviously, there's that stat that was out earlier on the season about the amount of goals that they'd scored in the first minute or less than 2 minutes of the game.
There actually is something to talk about there. That can't be a coincidence. If they score in the first minute, 2 games in a row, okay, fine. Yeah. Sometimes that happens. But to do it 4 times, I think in 5 games, in 2 minutes, that's correct. A plan, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's a plan. And so going back to what you're saying about the lineup and the formation of the team, you'd probably think, I'm not saying it's a definite, that they're going to set up that midfield structure to be nice and solid at the beginning of the game. And then within that, they can tweak things. As in possession of the ball especially. When they turn the ball over, can Buonanotte then go and find that wide position and the same with Ayew. So it's very interchangeable, but, we'll go with the way you say it for now anyway. Because it does look like, it looks like a well-balanced setup.
Yeah, I think Matt made a good point. You don't want to be overrun in midfield early doors, especially with stats like that. The scoring goals at early doors. You want to just be solid for the first 15, 20 minutes, and then if you need to change it, like Jerry says, then you change it. You can change it, but I think it's most important to get the midfield, get a hold of the ball, and keep the ball.
It's the worst thing in football, and Steve will tell you. Whether you go on to win a game or draw a game or eventually end up losing it, conceding early goals away from home just puts you so much on the back foot. Just makes everything that much more difficult.
Especially when their record is black and white, home and away. They've only won 1 point.
Because the
second bottom of the away league, correct? Top of the home league.
Because the lads know that stat. They'll would have been made aware of that, and to go like Jerry says, go behind the early doors. You're flat, and then you got to pick yourself back up.
You got to pick yourself up. You got to grind your way back into the game. And I say it doesn't matter whether you're a top of the league team playing Brentford, who's let's say we're in the bottom 3. If you concede that early goal, it just makes your life so much more difficult, especially away from home.
Yeah. So do you see Leicester being really, really resolute then to start with? Maybe even the whole first half, particularly given it's 5 at the back or 3 at the back?
That's my mindset. But, I could be completely wrong. But that's the way, if I'm a centre-half going into this game today, I want us to be solid at the back. I want to take control of the controllables, because that's what my job was. Mm-hmm. That's why Conor Coady's in the team, if you ask me, because he will take control of the controllables. And the more solid his back line is and his midfield is, the easier the game becomes for someone like Conor Coady to marshal everything alongside of him and everything in front of him.
Yeah, I think as well with obviously the manager for the game today, Ben Dawson. I think he'll set his stall out because he doesn't want to lose this game.
No.
Right. I think on his CV, he's had the first team manager of Brentford away. If he gets a win, brilliant. That goes on his CV. So I know fine well he'll be going to this game thinking, right, be solid, get a result, and I'll stick that in my CV. So I think Jerry's made a good point with Conor Coady in there. I think that's exactly what as soon as I seen the team sheet, I thought he's in there for a reason.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah, well, let's get a recap then of today's team news. We've just seen the Leicester team. We can just get a quick reminder again. Conor Coady, as Jerry rightly says, in the middle of that back 3. He's one of 4 changes made by Ben Dawson for this game. It's Manson, Fast, Coady, Akoli, Thomas and Justin make up the rest of that back 3 or 5. Ndidi and Samare in midfield, with Ayew and Buonanotte supporting Jamie Vardy. From a Brentford point of view, they have Flecken in goal, Lewis, Potter, Pinnock, Collins and Van den Berg, Norgard, Damsgaard and Jensen in the midfield, with Schade leaving Wissa and Mbeumo, who both of them, they're in the top 10 scorers in the Premier League, and Mbeumo in the top 3 with 8 goals so far. Only Salah and Haaland have scored more than him in the Premier League. Clearly one to look out for. In the stands, there'll be a lot of eyes in the directors' area, I think, because of the arrival, of course, of Ruud van Nistelrooy, who is in attendance, of course, at the game with Brentford today. Here he is arriving a little bit earlier alongside Kuntop at the GTEC Community Stadium. So we will see plenty of pictures, plenty of videos. I'm sure the camera will be cutting a lot to find Ruud van Nistelrooy in this game. Will, I guess, his reign on Tuesday officially starts, doesn't it, against West Ham? Will he go into that game off the back of a win? Let's hope so. Very final quick points from both of you ahead of the game. We've talked about that mindset, Jerry, of the players with Ruud van Nistelrooy in attendance. They want to show their manager just how good they are as players. They want to get a victory to roll into Tuesday and Sunday.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's a new lease of life for everybody involved on the playing staff. And so if that's the case, then that's a positive going into today's game. And so if that's a positive, then you take that positive out onto the pitch. As I said, I don't know if the manager's had a word with him or not so far, but if that's your positive vibe for this weekend, bring it out onto the pitch and let's have a really good performance.
Yeah, because it's new lease of life for the lads. Some of the lads who weren't playing under Cooper are now thinking, right, well, I've got a chance under Ruud.
Correct.
Let's put a performance so he picks me.
Yeah.
So
we'll find out then. Kickoff is just over 10 minutes away. That means it is indeed time to hand you over to our commentary team for this afternoon. We've already heard from Matt Elliott, haven't we? He will be on co-commentary duty alongside Charlie McGuinness for the first game post Steve Cooper. It's Brentford against Leicester. We've got full commentary coming up next here on Fox Pub.